Hello and welcome to Telegraph Studio and Business Reporters Supporting SMEs campaign, hosted by the Telegraph Online. I'm Alistair Greener and today I'm talking to Robert Green from BFC Bank. Good morning.
Good morning.
What impact will Brexit impose on SMEs?
Well, whatever the impact, there is good news here, is that you can prepare for this. And what you must remember that is, in some ways, the same considerations that you're applying now to your business are the same as we go through this Brexit process. However, what is true is that this long period of drawn-out negotiations is creating uncertainty within the foreign exchange markets in particular. And this uncertainty leads to exchange rate volatility, and we saw that directly after the Brexit vote. But it's more than this for you. SMEs need to look at how they price. They need to understand whether there's going to be any new tariffs, and all this needs to be part of their considerations. There may well be new trade regulations, and SMEs will need to understand those. And you may well find that a company or an organisation that you've been trading with for some time and within the UK then moves, for whatever reason, into mainland Europe or to another country. So even today, when you think, well, I may not be affected by this, you could well be so.
You talked there about volatility. How would an SME typically experience that volatility? Some
SMEs will find a tectonic shift. There will be different trading patterns, different countries that they'll have to deal with. And of course, for any business, it's very important that those sales margins are locked in. And there's little point in establishing a good trading partner only to find that any likely profit is being eroded through exchange rate movements. It's also likely that as trading markets expand, there will be a need to trade and understand in different countries and currencies. And we do expect that whilst we continue on this Brexit journey, where there remains a level of uncertainty, then exchange rate volatility will remain with us and has to be dealt with. And some SMEs will need to consider their exposure to this and how actually they're going to manage it.
Well, that's the point, isn't it? How can an SME actually prepare for that risk and determine what that risk is?
Well, there are three things really that an SME needs to consider, and that's timing, the settlement currency, and remembering what their core business is. And let's look at first the settlement currency. If it's not sterling, then you immediately will be exposed to exchange rate risk. And then you need to think about timing. When is settlement going to be made? And how do you actually cover that interim period? And do always remember that in most cases, currency trading is not your core business. So you do need to find ways in which you can actually mitigate that exposure.
Another challenge could be for an organisation that they might have a foreign currency account where they've got some cash sat there. Maybe they're applying for finance in a foreign country. How do they manage that aspect to their volatility?
The first thing is to accept and plan what needs to be done. Do talk to your bank or other advisor that you may well have, who can then understand your specific set of circumstances and give you the appropriate advice. And this thought process needs to start at the very beginning, at the point at which you're negotiating the price for raw materials, at the point at which you're negotiating your sales price. That's when you need to start thinking about this. And once you've done this, only then can you start to factor in your prices.
This is all very, very complex. So what other things should SMEs be planning for? What should they be thinking about?
If they have income in, let's say, euros and outgoings, again in euros in the same currency, then the thing to think about there is the timing of when they receive the money and when they have to pay it out. In these circumstances, if you can avoid converting to sterling at any point in that process, then that's what you should do. But then if you're holding these euros in a bank account, then you'll also have to think about what, if any, impact that will have on your own cash flow.
Brexit is going to be very complex. So what other actions should SMEs be considering?
The most important thing is to keep up to date with how the Brexit negotiations and discussions are progressing. And do remember that change can be very positive. It will open up new opportunities. There will be opportunities for new trade agreements. And please do take advice. There are an abundance of trade bodies out there, all of which are monitoring the Brexit discussions. Please speak to them. They will be able to help you.
Let's talk about BFC Bank. What exactly do you bring to the table? How do you help SMEs in this environment?
BFC's focus is very much on international payments and dealing with organisations that trade internationally. That's part of our history and is something that we're taking forward into the future. But for us, one of the most important things when dealing with our customers is to ensure that we provide clear and transparent pricing. We don't want any of our customers to have any surprises. We have a relationship team with relationship managers who have experience, vast experience of international payments and also SMEs. We speak the same language.
Let's do some maths. Let's put this into perspective. Let's say, for example, I'm a UK business, let's say food and beverage, yet my suppliers are based in France. So how are you going to help me to make sure that my business is actually running smoothly with all this volatility around?
If you're making purchases, as you say, from France, then you could buy euros at the very beginning and then you would lock in the rate. You would know the rate that you're going to get when those euros actually arrive. Let's take your example a step further and you then sell whatever goods you've manufactured or you've actually acquired into Italy. So you'll actually be receiving payment for those in euros as well. And you could, if you wanted, actually borrow in euros at the very beginning when you pay for your goods, and therefore you're eliminating some of the exchange rate fluctuations that you might incur. But this is just an example. There are many ways that actually you could achieve the reduction in risk and the potential impact on your profit margins. So every SME's position is going to be different. So really it is better to talk to us, to your bank or to your advisors.
We know Brexit's coming, however, we don't know quite what it's going to look like. So what other advice would you give to SMEs?
Well, the first thing I'd say is whatever you do, you've got to do something. Doing nothing is not an option. Don't put any plans on hold and look for opportunities, but do make certain that you protect your business and mitigate any exposure to exchange rate fluctuations. And make it part of your everyday business to actually understand what's happening and what those implications are and how they're going to affect you.
As we said, Brexit is definitely coming. It's really interesting to see the complexity of exchange rate volatility and the impact that can have on businesses. And it's been really interesting finding out more about it. Robert Green from BFC Bank, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.